Welcome to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle, LaPorte County's original social media. Sound Off is a public interest forum that encourages your voice to be heard on the topics and issues impacting our local communities. We invite you to be part of the conversation by calling or texting 219-362-0522. You may also email your questions to soundoff at 967theeagle.com. This is a topic-based program, and we ask that you keep your comments brief, concise, and related to the topic being discussed. The views expressed on Sound Off are those of the hosts or callers and do not represent the opinion of 96.7 The Eagle, Spoon River Media, LLC, or the sponsors. The on-air line is now open for your calls or texts at 219-362-0522. And now, Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
And welcome to Sound Off on this Friday afternoon. Stan Maddox here. Our guest today, State Representative Jim Pressel. So the legislative session is starting to approach the finish line. If you have any questions for State Representative Jim Pressel, you know the number, 362-0522. You can call or text us at that number. And so give us a call. Once again, we have a guest on today's program, State Representative Jim Pressel. Jim, as always, welcome to Sound Off.
Oh, good afternoon, Stan. Thanks for having me.
A lot of people are probably wondering what's at the finish line in terms of property tax reform. We've heard for the past several weeks, a couple of months, everything's in a state of flux. Is this property tax reform going to happen? And if it happens, what's it going to look like? Do we know yet?
Well, I don't know that we know entirely what it's going to look like. So that bill is currently scheduled in the House in Ways and Means for Monday, I believe. We're going to put the House version in there. There's been a lot of adjustments, but it's still in committee. So I expect a few more adjustments on it, and I think you're going to see the House deliver on a good, very good property tax reform bill. We're going to try to move, this is my understanding, and I don't serve on Ways and Means, so I'm talking to some of my friends that do serve on Ways and Means, and we're going to try and get away from a levy-based system to a rate-based system. And I think that's important into the future. With our current levy-based system, if the rate goes up, your taxes actually go down. But if the rate goes down, your taxes go up, which is the craziest thing that has ever happened, right? But that's our current system. It's very complex. It's really hard to understand. I don't understand it entirely, but that's the changes we're going to try and phase in over about 4 years. But the goal is to get immediate tax reform this year. So that would start then in 2026.
I know the governor wants a bill that will get his support. He wants to be able to put his signature on a property tax reform bill. Is it going to be good enough, do you think, for the governor?
I don't know. We'll know after it gets through the House for sure, and we'll see what happens to it in committee on Monday. Our hopes are all to lower property taxes. Nobody wants to pay more. We're all paying more in inflationary costs right now. But you have to be very careful about how you do that with the locals being able to pay for those services that we all expect. So I think there's a fine line to walk here, but I think there's an opportunity to land in a very good spot that people are going to be happy with. So after that comes out of the House, whatever version we end up with, and there's still a lot of a debate that will happen. There's like 20 members there in the Ways and Means Committee that are going to have an opportunity to amend that. Then it's going to go to the whole House floor, and I know there'll be 20, if not 30 different amendments from members there that don't have an opportunity to amend. So then we'll send it back to the Senate. We'll see what the Senate thinks of it. We've got 3 weeks to get this wrapped up. That is a priority for both chambers and the governor. So we're going to try and land on a good spot. There's a lot of compromise being made, but ultimately we want to reduce those property taxes not only for this year, but as a regular thing.
How much of a reduction do you think people will see?
So again, I don't serve on that committee, so I'm not that deep into the weeds with it, but the members that I do know that are serving on that committee, probably a 25% reduction, a 30% reduction. Depends on where you're at right now is my understanding of it. So some parts of the state experienced, a 500% increase in their property tax bills over the last 3 years. I think we've been fortunate. Ours has been pacing up, but it's still gone up quite a bit. So is there an opportunity that ours are going to come back right here in LaPorte County by 50%? I don't think you're going to see that kind of reduction, but will you see 25? I think that's kind of the goal, 25, 30%. Is there an opportunity then to pace the amount of growth of your tax bill, maybe at 3%, attach it to inflation? There's a lot of conversation. There's a lot of possibilities going on.
Okay, we have a text message. Somebody wants to know, how much will the property tax relief cost local schools and funding?
I think it's going to cost all government. It will cost local schools, and that's the very cautious part, right? So you have to think about what's going on with school funding, what's going on with being able to pay the sheriff's department, being able to pay the law enforcement for city police. If we go so far in the wrong direction, then there are a lot of consequences. So that's why I think changing from that levy-based system, as I understand it, to a rate-based system will be helpful. Is there going to be a little pain in this for local government? Yeah, there absolutely is. Is there opportunities for them to reduce in other areas? Probably. And I think they're all taking a look at that. I mean, this is a conversation that's not only happening at the State House, it's happening in local government. And our local elected officials here have been very engaged with me, telling me this is, what you can't do and what the repercussions may be, the consequences, and local school funding is one of those. So we're going to try and do it very cautiously. We'll see what happens on Monday.
Yeah, local governments, there's a lot of them in the state of Indiana, a lot of local school corporations. So, yeah, like you mentioned, you make the wrong move and it could have drastic effects. So it's got to be really, really vetted. I mean,
it is, and that's why it's taken a long time. And hopefully we get there this year. I am very confident we're going to get to something that will be the least amount of reduction that we can possibly get to. And then ultimately there's an opportunity for the governor to weigh in at the end of the day and say you did not hit the mark or you went too far. So it's still going on. 3 more weeks to go.
Yeah, somebody wants to know why not increase the sales tax by 1 or 2% to make road funding fair across the board?
So that's been a conversation in road funding as an increase in sales tax. I don't know that sales tax is the best way to address that. You could spread that across at a 2% sales tax increase, and then folks that are not using the road in any way, shape, or form are paying for that. Is that a fair system to do? When maybe I have 3 cars, but I don't buy that much with the sales tax, and somebody that has 0 cars, you're going to pay 2% more to fund the roads. I think it needs to stay as a user-based system. Currently, we collect gas tax. That's how we fund roads. 98% of all of our road funding, state side of it, comes from the pump. That's how we do it. So the more gas you burn, the more you drive, the more you're paying for it.
Of course, part of that road funding equation here is a proposal that I believe you authored to ask the federal government for permission to turn freeways into toll roads. Where does that measure stand right now?
So right now that is in the Senate. That came out of Senate Transportation last week. That is getting a hearing also in Senate Appropriations on Monday. I'm expecting more amendments in the Senate side. We'll see what the Senate thinks of it. And what it does is there's currently in statute, there's a 75-mile restriction from an existing toll road that you couldn't put the first toll lane within that 75 miles. And that's the key, right? The first, right? So the governor, the administration has the ability today, without the General Assembly's approval or the federal government's approval, to go on to, we'll say I-70, add a lane and toll it, and then that restriction goes away. Myself and the House believe, and so far the Senate's with me, that if that is going to be a conversation that the administration is going to be taking place, I think that federal highway waiver should be applied for to where they could talk about tolling 70, to where they could talk about all options, right? Should it be 65? Is tolling even a good way? I'm not convinced that's the greatest thing to do, but I'm not convinced that it's a terrible thing to do. When you look at tolling as a whole, and I'll go back to I-70, I think that's probably where most of the focus is on is I-70. We're about 160 miles wide. Over 75% of that traffic on any given day is out-of-state traffic. Should Hoosiers pay for that interstate? Should we pay for the upgrades on it? Should we continue to add lanes to it because it needs capacity? It's the most expensive interstate in the state. So is that fair for Hoosiers to continue to pay for it? I think that's what the governor needs to figure out because the ball's in his court here. He can absolutely do this today without us. So if you apply for that waiver, then the federal government can weigh in and say, no, it's a terrible idea. We don't like it. Or, yes, we like that you're going to toll one lane of it, or you're going to toll a bridge, or whatever the case may be. But that absolutely opens up options.
Yeah, that's interesting. If 75% of the traffic's from out of state, Hoosiers are paying 100% of the tab.
Absolutely. Well, there's federal dollars that come back, so it's everybody's federal taxes. And I'm careful when we say it's federal dollars paying for that because that's still our tax dollars, right? But there's a lot of state dollars that go into it that Hoosiers are paying directly at the pump for repairing that and continuing to repair that and add capacity onto it. So it comes back to, is that the right way to do it? I mean, are you happy that you're paying for I-70, but 75% of the traffic on it is from out of state? And that with us being 160 miles wide, think about this, with fuel efficiencies, you wouldn't have to stop from one side to the other and buy a gallon of gas. So if Hoosiers were to quit paying for that, that frees up additional dollars. As we know, there's a need. There's about a $1.2 billion need going forward sometime in 28, 29 on the state side, and there's about a $1.5 billion need on the local side. So those dollars that we were putting into it can now go into State Road 2, State Road 6, wherever we need it, and we see the benefit of those dollars.
Do you think that measure is going to make it to the governor's desk?
Well, so I guess one of the benefits and one of the fallbacks, right, I get all the heat for that, even though it's a measure put out by the House. And since I chair transportation, I get tasked with things like this. I'm hearing from a lot of people on it, and I'm not convinced right now that we're in a great spot with this. So since I do control it, there's an opportunity for me to kill it, right? We'll see what the Senate does. Not 100% sure what they're going to do, but some of the ideas that I think they're about to put into it are not acceptable to me or my House members. So we'll 3 weeks to go. A lot of things can happen. That bill will end up more than likely in conference committee, and we'll see where it goes.
All right. I'll tell you what, we got to take a quick commercial break. Stay with us here on Sound Off.
Routine visits with a pediatrician are vital to a child's development. North Shore Health Center's pediatric family nurse practitioners provide quality care to every child, every time. Their providers ensure that your child is up to date on vaccines and are reaching their developmental milestones. Same-day appointments are also available for when unexpected illnesses occur. Learn more by visiting northshorehealth.org or call 1-888-822-2402 to schedule an appointment today.
Hello, this is Dale Naus with Cutler Funeral Home and Cremation Center. Caring friends are always available when you need them the most. At Cutler Funeral Home and Cremation Center, we make available caring, compassionate grief counseling before, during, and long after you have experienced the loss of a loved one. Whether your funeral arrangements were with us or another funeral home, Caring Voices is a service that will connect you with master-level counselors anytime you need a listening ear. Allow us to help you and those around you to start on a pathway to healing. Don't suffer alone during your time of loss. Comfort and understanding flow through Caring Voices, provided exclusively at no expense to you by Cutlers. Call us at 219-362-2828 That's 219-362-2828. Or stop by to find out more about Caring Voices.
When it comes to school delays or closings, you can always count on 96.7 The Eagle for fast, dependable, accurate updates. Whether it's on the air, online, and social media, we keep you up to date whenever there is a closing or delay of the area schools and businesses. School and business delay and closings are brought to you by
Settlers Place Assisted Living and LaPorte Community Federal Credit Union.
So for the latest in closings and delays, turn on your source for news, weather, and local information, 96.7 The Eagle. Look at all the things I've collected over the years in here, Dave.
Why, Dad?
So you'll have many things to remember me by, and, I'm sure you can use it all someday.
But, Dad, I can't use all these things.
Yeah, but just think, it's all yours someday.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Dad. Is that a bumper I see buried with this stuff?
Oh, hey, I believe it's your mom's 1976 Pinto, and again, it's going to be yours someday.
Do you have things you don't need or want anymore? Are you tired of seeing things that you thought was a good idea to buy and then turn around and put it away in some corner of your garage? Well, you're in luck. At 96.7 The Eagle, we can help by reading your garage, rummage, estate, or yard sale during Tradio. All you need to do is visit hometownnewsnow.com, click on the Submit tab, and fill out the form, and we'll contact you for the payment. It's that simple. Of course, we do accept debit and credit cards for payment. So listen weekdays at 9:45 for your sale to be read live on 96.7 The Eagle, and check out the listings at hometownnewsnow.com.
Michiana weather. Slight chance of rain showers this afternoon. Otherwise, cloudy skies. Daytime highs approaching 57. From the Weather Center at hometownnewsnow.com. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Right now, it's 50 degrees.
We're waiting to hear from you. Dial or text 362-0522 and let us know what you think. That's 362-0522. Back to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
And welcome back to Sound Off on this Friday. Our guest again, State Representative Jim Pressel. We have some calls waiting to get on the air here. Let's take the first one. You're on with Jim Pressel.
All right. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
We'll start with the roads. The toll road was sold years ago because it was being embezzled by all the people in Indiana that were running it because they couldn't run it right. So instead, they agreed to sell it to a foreign company that's now making a fortune on us. That 75-mile rule was put in there to protect us in northwest Indiana that already had to put up with this toll road all these years. That's why I was in there. But now you just want to throw it to the side. I just don't understand that one bit. But yeah, I mean, it was just corruption from the whole time. We could have had all kinds of money from that. If you want to put a toll road, put it down in southern Indiana. Put it on that new road you guys just built down there. Why would you? If you remember what happened in New York City just recently, the federal government said you can't put that toll road in the city for people to come in there because that road was paid for years ago by the federal government. So I think you better look at a few things like that first before you decide this. And the person that was our representative back in the day that decided to sell the toll road, guess what? She got voted out. And she was in there forever. But people realized that she shouldn't have sold it. I think she regretted it after the fact.
Okay.
But then you're looking at Highway 30. That's just a total waste of money. My daughter goes down to Manchester College. I drive that way. The only time it slows down is a little bit through Plymouth, a little bit through Warsaw. And you want to raise all these other tolls so you can pay for that road to make it an interstate. It doesn't need to be. You can go 60, 70 miles an hour, no problem on that road. So I just don't see where your thinking is on this. I mean, if you want to keep, people have told you. There's an article in the Northwest Times this week about how much money they're making from Indiana on marijuana.
Okay, a lot to respond to.
So yeah, and I think it was more of a conversation, and I'm having these conversations with lots of folks, right? So talked to 2 or 3 constituents this past week, just having that conversation. So number one, I'll tell you, we did not sell the toll road. The toll road was never sold. The toll road is leased, and it was leased to a company that could no longer maintain it to the standards that was part of the lease. So it was now leased to a second company. That company has actually repaved it on their dime, 150 miles of it. That was part of the lease agreement. And then we'll talk about the 75-mile restriction. So I voted on that in 2017. So I really know why it was put in there, and I would direct you to actually read that piece of legislation. So it says the first toll lane cannot be within 75 miles. So the governor has the ability this afternoon, if he decided to add a toll lane anywhere 75 miles away from that, that restriction goes away. And to your point, and I agree with you 100%, the federal government, Federal Highway, may take a look at any waiver requests submitted from NDOT and the governor and say, absolutely not. But I think the governor needs to have the ability to have a very broad conversation about how are you going to pay for things? What is your direction? As the governor, this just gives him flexibility. So there are a lot of things going on there, but I think it's important to actually read through Title VIII, read through what's actually going on in that bill in regards to the first toll lane. That restriction goes away immediately.
I wonder how the private operators of the toll road feel. They might like Interstate 94 going to a toll road because now they're on a level playing field.
Well, I don't, and I'm just like, I'm not a fan of tolling 94. I don't like that idea. What I am a fan of is have a very good conversation about what is the opportunity look like on 70, where it's straight across, where there is another state road 40 that is parallel to it. I think that's where the focus should be. I don't like the idea of tolling 94, but it could happen unless we get them to do the federal highway waiver and submit it to the federal government and see where it stands. And it may be denied. And if they're talking about 94, I hope they get it denied. So that's, it's all in the conversation, but to not have multiple options open as we move forward, I think is limiting that conversation.
Okay, let's take another phone call. You're on Sound Off. Go ahead.
Yes, I was wondering if the state has looked at increasing funding for the state 4-H program. The way I understand, it has only increased by $500,000 over the last 20 years, and that's to cover the entire state.
Yeah, so I have heard of that conversation. I don't think it's going to be successful. So this year in the budget, we're going to have what's been described as a very vanilla budget. Revenues are short. We are cutting back at the agency level. I think you're going to see between 5 and 10% reductions in the agencies is where the budget left the House. Not sure what the Senate's doing to that yet. But there are a lot of things that will be flatlined or reduced. So everybody's coming looking for more, but the reality is the revenue is not there.
All right, let's take another phone call. You're on Sound Off. Go ahead.
How are you today?
Doing good.
Good. Hey, this is about the marijuana. I don't see why they don't pass the law in Indiana to have it. Because, look at Michigan. Look, it was on the radio where they made millions of dollars off of marijuana. And in New Buffalo area, I think they got 18 dispensaries. And, all you do is see is Indiana cars at these dispensaries in Michigan. Why don't we get some of the money?
Yeah, so, great question. Comes up every time I'm on Sound Off. And I'll just reiterate, right? So there's a couple things going on. The House has had conversations about it. We tried this session, and we still have 3 weeks to go. Maybe it's going to happen, but so far it has not happened on the Senate side, was to be able to tell what an impaired driver, an impaired driving test, and that's important for me. and I think it's important to all of us that we want to be able to identify if somebody should not be behind the wheel of an automobile. So we did pass that out of the House. That's a great first start. I'm thinking we're moving cautiously. So 2 different chambers. You got the Senate and you got the House. The House, I believe, and I'll speak for myself, I'm ready to have that conversation. Let's put it out there. Now, currently, the Senate will not have that conversation. So until they're willing to participate, I just don't see what the House can do, right? So now the governor, our new governor, has said he has an interest in medical marijuana. So maybe we can get this done next year, but it's definitely not going to happen this year.
Now, you say the House passed it. They passed a bill to legalize marijuana.
No.
Oh.
So you got to pay attention.
Okay. About the the impairment. How do you improve impairment? Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And what level is really impaired?
Okay. All right. Let's take a quick commercial break. Stay with us here on Sound Up.
Hey, have you heard the exciting news? Dr. Granfield, your favorite and trusted podiatrist, has opened his own practice right here in LaPorte, Granfield Foot and Ankle. Dr. Granfield is now accepting new patients and is conveniently located at 502 Legacy Plaza. Dr. Granfield is back and ready to tackle all your foot and ankle concerns. When you stop dancing with excitement, pick up the phone and schedule your appointment at 219-312-6111. That's 219-312-6111.
Frank L. Kazai Funeral Home, Essling Chapel, a tradition of excellence since 1958. It's our desire to bring our brand of compassionate care and quality to every family we serve. At Frank L. Kazai Funeral Home, Essling Chapel, we would like to say thank you for calling on us to be your trusted funeral director. We are privileged and honored to serve your family in such a difficult time, and we pledge to continue to do so for many years to come. LaPorte's most experienced funeral directors with over 67 years of experience to honor your loved one. Please visit our informative website to learn more and see what our families are saying about the care they have received. Trusted, experienced, local family-owned, Frank L. Kazai Funeral Home, Essling Chapel. EsslingFuneralHome.com.
Hi, everyone. I'm Craig Orndorff. On the next weekend in the country, we head back to the 1st of April in 1989. When freedom was chipping away at communism, there was the Exxon Valdez oil spill, and Michigan won the college basketball championship. And on the countdown, we had the duet from Hank Sr. and Hank Jr., along with hits by George Strait, Keith Whitley, Reba, and Shenandoah. We'll have them and more on the next Weekend in the Country.
Weekend in the Country, Saturdays 8 to 10 on 96.7 The Eagle, sponsored by Robert Tillish Appliance.
Looking for a hard-to-find item you can't find in the stores? Maybe you'd like to sell a few items you no longer use or need. Maybe you're looking for help around the house or yard. Tradio is the answer. Every weekday following your 9 a.m. news for Tradio on 96.7 The Eagle. It's your time to call 362-0522 to buy, sell, and trade just about anything, even those hard-to-find items. Join us for Tradio, weekdays from 9:06 a.m. until 10 on 96.7 The Eagle.
Your opinion matters. We invite you to share it by calling the on-air line at 362-0522. That's 362-0522. Now, back to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
And welcome back. Our guest again, State Representative Jim Pressel. Been talking about marijuana. Was our most recent conversation. The proposal to ban marijuana advertising in the state. That's moving, right? It's gaining some traction. Where is it at right now, and is it going to pass?
It is. It's been a heavy lift. There were 2 bills in the House during the first half that never received a hearing that took a different approach and just really talked about billboards and placement. They couldn't be within 1,000 feet of a school. All kinds of different things. Both of those bills died in the first half. And I got to tell you, I get so many complaints, and it just continues to elevate about the advertising of an illegal substance. And we've had these questions before, and I've always been concerned about, the First Amendment. It's important, I think, to all of us. It's very important to me. How do we do this without stepping on the First Amendment? should somebody have the ability to advertise an illegal substance in Indiana. So just most recently in November, late November, the Fifth Circuit ruled on a Mississippi law that does pretty much what I've put into the Senate and the House now as amendments, to basically say you can't advertise an illegal substance in a state if it's not legal here, right? There's also a federal component that I think other states could make if they wanted to, but basically what the court said is the First Amendment does not protect criminal activity. So I think this is going to stand up in the courts. I think it's very narrowly tailored to say that it has to be on the illegal substance list. And it's not just at billboards. The Senate version, which the Senate took out yesterday, was very narrowly tailored to just say billboards. So some of the calls and the complaints that I get are the mailers that we receive in our mailbox, sometimes a couple times a week, advertising for an illegal substance and giving you a discount to go 12 miles north and pick it up, right? That sends a mixed signal, number one, because people then believe that maybe this product is legal now. So we come back here with it. If they were to get picked up, then they're probably going to get a warning, depending on, did they buy a truckload of it or did they buy a bag of gummies? Who knows? So number one, mixed signal. Number two, it is an illegal substance. The mobile billboards that is on this truck that drives around LaPorte, we're parking it in front of schools, we're parking it in front of the parks, it's up and down the streets. That has to stop. It just has to stop. It's an illegal substance. Now, two conversations, that's how I introduced the amendments was, one, just like the previous caller, should it be legal or not? That's a totally separate conversation. Right now, it's not legal, so I don't believe you should be able to advertise that here in the newspaper, on any kind of print, on the billboards. So the one in the House that'll be on third reading for the whole body to vote on will be Monday. And I think we have plenty of support that it's going to move out of there. The next step to that one, since the Senate took the version I put in the Senate out, it would need to go to conference committee and be put up to the Senate for a vote then through a conference committee report.
Okay, so it sounds like you're optimistic it's going to pass.
I'm 90% confident, but anything can happen in the last weeks. The most of the senators that I talked to about the amendment before it went in the Senate Transportation Committee were on board with me. And it was bipartisan, right? It was Republicans and Democrats on the thought process is that, it is illegal. We should not send mixed messages. Nobody wants this. So I think it's got a great chance to succeed, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, let's take a phone call. You're on Sound Up.
Yes, Mr. Pressel?
Yes, sir.
Hey, you're elected official, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. With the legalization of marijuana, people that vote you guys in as politicians to do the job, Indiana's eventually going to start non-voting for you guys if you don't legalize marijuana.
Is that a question?
Well, it kind of makes sense. I mean, you're elected official, and it's here in Indiana. It's everywhere in Indiana. You guys can't. The people put you in the office. The people can vote you out of office. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, absolutely. Every 2 years. Every 2 years, I'll be back on the ballot until the people won't have me. That is my term limit. Is every 2 years. The thought of one individual, one legislator that could just flip a switch and turn something into a law is not a reality. There are 150 legislators in the state of Indiana. You need 51 votes in the House, you need 26 votes in the Senate, and then you need a governor that's willing to sign it. So, again, I'm not opposed to bringing it to the floor. Let's have a conversation about it. But until you get 51 others or 49 others, 50 others, that conversation is just not taking place. So it's not one individual holding it up. It is both chambers need to have this conversation.
Okay, let's take a phone call. You're on Sound Off. Go ahead.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, how are you, Bill?
Hey, fine. Those few people you got that's going to vote you out of office because you don't have marijuana, I've got a half a dozen right here that's going to vote twice for you. Yeah, just like Mayor Daley in Chicago said, we're going to vote 3 or 4 times apiece. But no, I think you can see that what happened in the national, the majority of people don't need another headache,
Well, I appreciate the support,
hang
Bill.
in there.
Yeah, I'm doing my best, right? So where there's one that's opposed, there's one that's in favor, right? So I mean, it's a fine line, and I appreciate the comment, Bill, because you're absolutely right when you mention the federal government. We've sent this mandate to the congressional delegations continually that they need to do this so that it's not only approved by the state or legalized in a state. They need to have that conversation about just taking it off the Class 1 substance list. That's really what needs to happen.
Okay. Interesting conversation. Ironically, unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago, a little boy got hit by a car. The car was backing out in his driveway, and the driver, who was a friend of the family, allegedly was impaired by marijuana. So that impairment question, that's interesting to talk about.
It is so important. It is so important. And it was was it 24, winter of 24, we lost a state trooper over in the Fort Wayne area that was hit by a marijuana impaired driver, and he was actually on his way into Michigan to buy more. So I think having the regulations around it to do it correctly is really important.
Okay. All right. That'll do it for Sound Off today. Jim, any final thoughts?
Hey, 3 more weeks to go. Any questions, concerns, please reach out to me. Always willing to have a conversation. If you want to yell at me, I'm happy to listen to that too. So hang in there. We're going to get through this. Thanks.
Okay. All right. That'll do it. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday here on Sound Off. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us and voicing your opinion on this edition of Sound Off. The views expressed on Sound Off are those of the host or callers and do not represent the opinion of 96.7 The Eagle, Spoon River Media, LLC, or the sponsors. Sound Off airs live every Monday and Friday, immediately following Update 12 News, and is available online after the show is over under the podcast menu at hometownnewsnow.com. Mark your calendar and join us again for the next edition of Sound Off, right here on 96.7 The Eagle.